Alrighty guys, we are going to get into my first ever direct comparison of vehicles. This will be the Lupus versus the Nameless, two of the Valkyria Chronicles heavy tanks that our Wargaming has just offered, and I'm kind of excited for this because this will let me try out some new editing tricks, as well as use some of the footage that I have recorded in the past on these two tanks. These two tanks are both Tier 7 heavy tanks. They have slightly similar and slightly different play styles. First we'll do a run through of the stats, then I'll give you double gameplay from both of them, just kind of showing what I think are some of the really good things about both these tanks and where they kind of excel and find their niche. So without further ado, we are going to get into the first bit of stats, which will be for the protection. Into the armor, and first off we can see that the Nameless has more hit points, more frontal hull armor with that 150 millimeters monstrous upper plate that is slightly curved. They both have 80 millimeters of side armor. The Lupus does have 80 millimeters of rear armor, which means that it is going to be extremely hard to penetrate that tank pretty much anywhere on its hull with high explosive, which is a very good thing because at tier 7, 6, 7, and 8 there are a lot of tanks that do fire high explosive fairly regularly. There's a lot of derp guns around. The turret armor, kind of a mixed bag. The Lupus has 130 millimeters at the front, 45 on the sides and rear. The Nameless has 120 on the front, 80 sides and rear, so it's completely reversed for who has the better, theoretically, turret. I will show you some screenshots right now of the armor, looking at it from a couple different angles from the perspective of the AMX M445, which has around 212 millimeters of penetration. If my mind is not playing tricks on me, let me check that really quickly. Yeah, that top millimeter has 212 millimeters of AP pen. So take a look at the screenshots right now. So here we can see the Nameless, looking at it pretty much straight on frontally with that AMX M445. You can see that that upper plate, which is 150 millimeters, is kind of weak down near the lower, but the upper part of that plate is very strong, so hold down this tank is surprisingly hard to crack, especially with that very large mantle. Mantlet. Wow, mantle. It's a hard tank to pen in the turret. Now we can see that the now we're going to look at the Lupus actually frontally. You can actually see that the really long sloping upper plate on the Lupus is extremely robust, although it does have a very large lower plate, but that lower plate is surprisingly hard to crack, especially when angled. And also, since this tank does have a rear profile turret, its side scraping abilities are exceptional, especially with that 80 millimeters of side armor. I really like playing this tank that way, and this tank does seem to be a lot more of a bruiser, side scraping, holding an alleyway kind of thing. The turret is not great. Its cheeks are extremely weak. It has a good gun mantlet, but that little protuberance above the gun that looks like a rocket pod or something else odd like that is actually a hitbox and can be penned. This tank is not impervious at all, hold down. So do not try to play this tank like a T-29 or anything like that, or even like the Nameless. I'll just do a very quick side-by-side between the two of them from the front. So you can see that the both of them have an extremely strong upper glacis / upper part of their glacis, as well as reasonably strong turrets, although the Nameless definitely has to take the stronger turret of the two. They both have reasonable gun depression. I haven't really suffered with that much overall. They both have 80 millimeters on the side, but because the Lupus does have a rear mounted turret, I would say that it does have the edge for side scraping. So I will let you guys look at that for a couple seconds. Alright, now we're going to hop into the Angled armor profile here. You can see that the Nameless angled up is pretty strong. The side of its armor is very good at this angle. The upper plate gets a little bit better, but it's still not great. The lower plate can still be pretty easily penned. It's very similar to the Tiger 2, the tier above. The Lupus angled up is extremely strong. Its lower plate starts getting in that murky area where people with less than 200 millimeters of pen are gonna start not being able to pen it. Its turret is still relatively weak, but that side armor in the rear turret really means that this thing can pretty much just side scrape around a corner to tier 6s, some tier 7s, and even some tier 8s, as you'll see in my replays later, with pretty much just impunity. It's quite strong. I really like side scraping this tank. I really feel comfortable holding an alleyway with this tank, even above the Lupus. Anyways, moving on from the armor, we are now going to take a look at the maneuverability and fire sections of their stats. First, for the Lupus, you're talking about 52 tons, weight, 792 horsepower, 36 kilometers per hour speed limit, 27 degrees of hull traverse, 21 degrees of turret traverse. It has a standard shell damage between 300 to 500, so it does have a 120 millimeter cannon. You can see the penetration there. The rate of fire is alright. Aim time's a little long. The dispersion's pretty bad. It has 278.8 meters of view range, which is alright. This thing is not exactly a light tank, but it's not exactly blind as a bat either. Going on to the Nameless, you can see that it does actually weigh more than the Lupus. It also has more horsepower, has a lower speed limit. It has more traverse both on the turret and hull. It has less damage per shot. More penetration, higher rate of fire, a longer aiming time, better dispersion, and the exact same view range. And now we move on to the actual gun stats for gun and / engine stats for the Lupus and Nameless. Rate of fire for the Lupus, we are talking about a blistering rate of fire of 4.6 rounds per minute on its 120 millimeter Mustela gun. So you're talking about 175 millimeters of pen. 217 on its APCR, 64 on its high explosive, which is actually really good for tier 7. At 400 average damage on its AP, 340 on its APCR, 515 on its HE, pretty standard. 0.407 dispersion, 5-second aiming time. Engine power is again the 792 horsepower, 15% chance of fire on impact. 730 kilograms engine weight, but nobody really cares about that. Going over toward the Nameless, we can see that it has 6.48. Sorry, it looked like a 6. Not wearing my glasses right now, so yes, I do have glasses. Average penetration is 180 millimeters, so it does have 5 millimeters more average pen. On its AP, its APCR has 220, which is alright. Has 60 on its high explosive, which is again pretty damn good. Its average damage is 90 less than the Lupus, but again, it does have that higher rate of fire. 310, 265, 420, perfectly fine. Its dispersion's ever slightly so much better, but again, its aim time is longer. Engine power, it has more engine power, but it does get set on fire theoretically more. Its engine does weigh less, which could be a good or bad thing, but again, nobody really cares about that stuff. Anyways, guys, really sorry for this long bit of comparison and stats and boring stuff. I have a quadruple helping of pretty interesting gameplay that I think kind of exemplifies the differing play styles or how I play these tanks differently. I'm not actually going to tell you which one you should get if you're thinking about buying one over the other. If you have the money, I'd recommend getting both. If you could, they're both very fun tanks. They both make pretty dang good credits. I like both of them. Honestly, I think the Nameless fits my playstyle more, but I'll let you guys make your own conclusions from the gameplay coming up right after this. Alrighty, this first bit of gameplay will be both games from the Lupus. We're going to hop into the first match here, which is me in my bottom tier heavy tank, which is obviously the Lupus. Because matchmaking. Basically, I'm just pushing here under the bridge because I do have a heavy tank. I'm going to try getting into this bush because I kind of like this building, especially with my side scrapey tanks. Because I can kind of stay behind the bush so they can't really see where the armor hit skin is. I'm waiting for somebody to pop up because I know they have 4 heavies. We only have 2. I decided to put a blind shot into the bush to see if I hit something. I do get spotted here, so I kind of angle my turret and just try to bait some shots into the side of my tank. I just see a tank over there, and that's when I bounced the first shot from the enemy Borsig using that 150mm. You can see by the alpha there. An enemy Lupus pulls up. I decide to load APCR, go right through the lower plate. I'm not even going to mess around. You can see that I did ricochet one off my turret. He was firing APCR as well. Now I'm just side scraping. I take one, I think, from the IS-3 there firing APCR. I put another one into the enemy Lupus, setting him on fire. I take another one on my tracks. Again, enemy Lupus is firing APCR. I do take a shot here. I'm looking for the hit. Put it in. I do take the shot from that enemy Tiger. My tracks eat a shot from the Borsig. Enemy IS-3 finally puts one through. He is firing APCR, it looks like. I don't know if he had the top gun or not. That's just me flinching there. I missed a kill shot on the enemy Tiger. Everybody seems to have trouble killing this Tiger. So I'm going to push in because I see that my T-32 down there is in a little bit of trouble. I again go for the kill shot, but it goes somewhere else. I pop adrenaline because I want the kill. I'm just going to try keeping my frontal armor. I didn't see that the Borsig was down. Looking for the kill. Or shot. Put a shot in on the IS there. This thing can pop out that damage. It's not great DPM, but it's still pretty good. You can see that the armor really worked here, and how even against top tier tank destroyers, you're just able to kind of just hold the line. As long as you don't get pushed, you shouldn't do too bad. I did fire a lot of APCR there, so I didn't make a ton of credits. You can see that my team did alright. This tank, I bounced several shots. I ate several shots on my tracks. I mean, it's pretty strong. It's a very good tank at holding a corridor, even if you do get pushed, which we will see in the next bit of gameplay. Getting the second Lupus match here, we are going to be on Mirage now. And I am going to be this time a top tier heavy tank, playing against tier 6s. Enemy team does have a couple of heavy tanks. A KV2. I'm letting my team know that I will be going to the right. This thing is just speedy enough that I'm going to try to make it to the waterfall, because this tank can be very, very dangerous there, especially if it can side scrape. Its reload's not horribly long, 13.1 seconds. You saw a pretty good example a little bit ago of the armor, so now I'm going to show you what happens if the majority of the enemy heavy tanks decide to push you. This thing is very tough. Anyways, I'm going to peek around here, see if I can find a shot. I do put one right into the side of the enemy SE-12244, a dangerous tier 7 tank. Alright, I see that there's a couple of heavy tanks just starting to pop over there. I see a KV2, and he smashes me for 420 even with HE. I get a lucky fire on the enemy KV-1S, but you can just see that I'm starting to bounce shots after shot. Enemy Tiger 1 is stock, so he doesn't have as much pen as he should. I do set on fire here. I repair my engine and ammo rack, and I'm just going to side scrape here. I am on 431 hit points. I am being pushed by a KV-1S. One right through his lower plate. KV-2 dunks a shot to the rock because Russian. Bounce one shot, bounce another shot. I'm asking for help because that's 4 enemy heavy tanks. I go for the kill shot on this guy, but only blow off his... I'm thinking it's it here, but my team is mopping up most of the enemy team. Enemy KV2 only splashed me for 272, so now I have even lower health. I'm just focusing on putting as much damage out there. Bounce another shot from the KV1S. That has 175 millimeters of pen. KV2 is pushing me. Enemy team is just getting worn down. I try sneaking a shot past KV2 here into the KV1S, but I donk it off the side of the KV2. You can see me wiggle my gun in frustration there. Eventually KV2 does kill me with HE. It was going to happen. It splashed me to death, but now he's stuck in there. That was exciting. 4 enemy tanks, and I got a lot of bounces. A lot of bounces there. And a decent amount of damage, especially with that fire. That's pretty much how I view this tank. It's very good for holding an alleyway and just being a tough bully. 37,000 credits there. 2.1k damage, 3rd class. I got the assistance medal, which I seem to get a ton of. So yeah, we're gonna take a look now at the Nameless, which is my preferred of the two. First off here, we are going to have a match on one of my most despised maps, which is Copperfield, and I am in the Nameless. I am a bottom tier heavy tank. Enemy team has 5 heavies. My team is mostly medium, so of course all of us decide to go hill. I feel like this tank has a lot more jack of all trades about it. Its gun's pretty good. Its 310 alpha is pretty powerful, especially at this tier. The Indian Panzer is asking for help for some weird ass reason. I didn't see any tanks around here, but I saw they had a lot of people. So I decided to try side scraping around this corner. Don't see anyone, which kind of fools me into... Then I get spotted and I start getting smashed. One comes in from the side, I take one to the front track. My tracks eat another one, I get shot another time. Put one in the Tiger P. There's somebody out on the flank who's smashing us. I get shot, take another shot. Decide to put a blind shot that doesn't hit anything. I get shot again by a Rudy. So I've lost most of my hit points early on here. Enemy team is 7v7. Our KV4 took a lot of damage. Looks like 2 of our mediums are deciding to flank around to get that tank that flanked over on our flank. Now I'm just interested in holding. I'm getting hold down. You can see the gun depressions are right here, but the pen isn't enough to deal with the IS-5, especially when he's above me. So I bounce APCR off of him. I switch back to AP because I see a Tiger and I want to get as much damage out as possible. Lurve pulls around. I put one through his front drive wheel-ish area. Just trying to leverage off my teammates' hit points and stay alive and put damage out. Enemy RU-251 goes down. You can see the wonderful zoom that PC has. I'm able to snipe the cupola pretty easily there. I'm just trying to remain hold down. They're not shooting me, which gives me some nice shots into them. I put another one into the Tiger P. He goes down. Enemy Tiger 1 decides to try to pull back. I do not get another one into him, so I decide to go up there. Our AMX AC-48 gets the enemy Tiger. I want to get one. I switch to AP. Switch back to AP. He's now a one-shot. Lurve is now a one-shot for our AC-48, who takes him out. I eat the heat round of that IS-5. I bounce off his side A with APCR because Russian bias. Load back up to AP, side of his tank, and critical hit. Yay. AMX M445, full health. Our AMX decides that he wants to have a Frenchie showdown. Smashes their tank. Hold my shot, get the tracking. Spin around to see it, make sure I don't get shot in the back, because that guy does have pretty good DPM. He could, if he focused me, he could take me out. I will get one more round into him. This is a low roll, unfortunately. Yeah, game's pretty much getting wrapped up here. You can see that this thing, even though it takes a lot of damage, it ate some rounds from some pretty dangerous tanks. I should have died several times over there, but Yeah, it's pretty strong. I like the frontal hull armor. I like the tank all around. I complete a mission. I get 2,094 damage, second class, and again, another one of the Confederate medals. And we are going to get into the final replay for today's video. This is going to be another Nameless. This time we are on mines, another not favorite map of mine, but it's alright. Again, gonna go hill because that's the meta. They have they have a single light tank. We have a single light tank. I am top tier. They have a couple of tier 6s. No tanks that I was really too worried about at the time. You see this thing does have it's alright mobility, it's not awesome. But yeah, their light tank has not pushed up yet here. It's about a Kuro, the tier 6 Tiger basically. Stock, Comet, smash him. I'm just trying to side scrape. Our T-150 goes up and it's getting destroyed. I decided to track this Nameless in place because I want to keep him up there. Unfortunately, our T-150 does go down in there. I have no idea where that shell went. Absolutely no idea. Anyways, their Nameless goes down. Their Kuros push around. Shot our Bulldog. I bounce one from the Baby Panther there. Side scraping, trying to see if I can get shots into these guys without getting exposing my front drive wheel. I do smack the Baby Panther. We're tied with tanks. I see their SU-100Y go down, and that's their only TD, so I know I'm good to push around the corner here. But one into their Kuro. He looks at me, decides not to shoot me, to go after the Bulldog, who's going ham. Bulldog gets that guy. I smash their Bulldog. And I decide to push. I can see that we have a couple of mediums, and their SU-100Y is pretty exposed. I get a stupid critical hit there off the rear of a Bulldog. Enemy SU-100Y goes down. Now it's mostly just a cleanup operation. Spot their Comet, get tracked, take him out. I'm gonna wait for my track to repair itself, save a little bit of cash. Again, now it's just a cleanup operation. It is 6-3. Most of us are now on their side of the spawn. Spot the enemy Bulldog. I don't quite have enough time to use my extremely long aim time to shoot him. A full health Tiger is spotted. I didn't see any shots I could get on him. Here I kind of made a mistake. I push around into the middle of 3 enemy tanks. I could get fairly hard focused here. I let my tank aim in, put one into their Bulldog. I look for their Baby Panther. Don't quite have enough turret rotation to do it. Our Bulldog goes down, and now it's 4-2. And I see that a couple of guys on my team are pretty low health, so I'm gonna push in. Enemy Baby Panther can't do much to me. I will take one from him in a second. Yep, there. Our Easy 8 isn't faring too well. He goes down. I decided I was going to ram him, but then I remember that the Tiger's a very heavy tank. I could look for the cupola, and I decided just to go through his upper plate. He penned me. I don't know, for some reason he doesn't quite seem to be aiming a lot at me. You see that my armor is enough to make him think twice about having to shoot, so my DPM is roughly equal to him in this kind of engagement. I donk a shot off the side of his tank, and our other Nameless comes through and just rams the hell out of him. So those were my gameplay files for this this comparison, this review. I make decent credits there. 2,800 damage, second class, yet another Confederate. 263 spare parts, because spare parts are always at a premium. I like this tank because it has a little bit better actual track traverse. It's not so much a pure alleyway heavy. It can do a little bit of ridge line work, as you saw on the hill. It's perfectly comfortable side scraping with that 80mm side armor. It doesn't have a rear mounted turret, unlike the Lupus, so it's not as good, but at the same time, they're both very good tanks. I highly recommend both of them. If you enjoy the big bullying heavy playstyle that really just wants to hold a lane against an absurd number of enemies, choose the Lupus. If you want a multi-role heavy tank that can kind of be like the Tiger 2 move down to tier 7, I'd choose the Nameless. For my personal choice, I do run the Nameless more than I run the Lupus, but they're both great tanks. They both will earn you money. They both have pretty good stats for the tier, and they're both well worth the price. Tank on, guys.